Welcome back to another very interesting story that has an extremely essential update, and it's an update that really does change how we think about this. It's also an update that's not the most juicy, and that means that a lot of people are going to be seeing the quotes that were shared on social media, and they're actually going to have a really, a different view of things to what actually happened. So not only is this quite interesting in terms of what literally has happened and the very newsworthy thing, but the other side of it too, where people could very easily be misinformed.
Yeah, it's another one of those cases of, this story is way, way, way better when it's first published than when it's updated with the truth. So then the truth is going to go a little bit by the wayside, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, and like how many times, let us know if you see this, you just see something widely retweeted or something, and it's like, well, that's not true. Everyone's parroting it like it's true. What's going on? So the subject of today's story, of course, is Mr. Robert Kotick. Yep, he still is in the news. And his dating life is actually a part of this story because of legal stuff. Legal stuff that, in fact, goes to the chief operating officer of Facebook and to maybe trying to influence the press to not cover things.
Yep.
So it's, even with the hint of truth that's came in, it still is a fairly major story. So this is a picture of Bobby Kotick that was really, it came out in the initial days of, Bobby being gaming Satan. Yep. And he said to the Times that, things like his dating life's a little bit funky whenever the first picture that some people see is this devil thing. To which I'd say, Bobby, there's a lot of people who are into that. Maybe you're just looking in the wrong places. Now, to continue with his dating life, and unfortunately that is tied here. I don't really like to bring up people's personal things, but between 2016 and 2019, Bobby Kotick was dating Sheryl Sandberg. Now, Sheryl Sandberg is a very important, influential person. And a very interesting history coming into Facebook, actually being like a bit older, a bit more experienced than the Zuck, and therefore she basically was a very important influence in that company.
Yeah, as the Wall Street Journal referred to her consistently throughout this article, is number 2 at Facebook, number 2 at Meta. Literally, like, there's the Zuck, and then there's Sandberg in terms of power, in terms of influence. And we can see how that power and influence may be wielded a little bit, in this case, technically responsibly, but potentially very irresponsibly.
So, that's the interesting story here. So, the Daily Mail was reporting on a story that would have revealed the existence of a temporary restraining order against Bobby Kotick that had been obtained by a former girlfriend in 2014. This is according to people involved in the article and the campaigns to stop its publication. So Miss Sandberg and Mr. Kotick then developed a strategy to pursue the Daily Mail not to report on the restraining order. Her legal and PR advisors, both inside and outside of Facebook, were basically worried that this is a story that would negatively, not only would be negative for her boyfriend, but also be a bit negative for her, because she has a very influential position in Facebook, and if she's an advocate for women and the person that she's dating has had a restraining order put on him, then maybe people would question her judgment. So you can understand why this would all raise alarm bells. Now, the story goes that Facebook recently started a review of Sheryl Sandberg's actions and basically trying to work out, did she violate the company's rules? So Mail Online is the online section of the Daily Mail. They had reporting stemming from these 2014 court filings that it had obtained that basically show that an ex-girlfriend received this temporary restraining order after alleging that Bobby harassed her at her home. Now, alleging is a fairly important word here that we'll come back to later. So the Wall Street Journal got a copy of the accuser's declaration, and this is the thing that I saw on social media that loads of people saw. And I'm very glad we dug into this.
Yeah.
So she informed Mr. Kotick that the relationship was over because of what she said was his bullying and controlling nature. He then showed up at her LA home uninvited and tried to get in, and that prompted her to call the police.
Yeah, what is interesting, though, is the Wall Street Journal said this declaration usually should be included in court documents in the public case, but it's actually not in this situation. So I'm not quite sure why that is. Maybe it's a misfiling, or maybe there's something else going on, but anyway, the WSJ had to do a lot of digging to find it.
Yeah. So this stuff is spreading. I see this, and I just quote tweet it saying, well, I know what we're going to be talking about tomorrow.
Yep.
Certainly. And when we looked into it, though, well, there's been updates to the case that are extremely important. So basically, his ex seems to have exaggerated the situation to get the restraining order, and then she actually walked her accusations back. So on Thursday, this is the recent update, on Thursday, after this article was published, a representative for his ex-girlfriend provided a written statement on her behalf. The statements I made about Bobby over 8 years ago are false.
There you go.
There you go. So it's a bit strange because, I mean, does that mean she kind of lied to the police? But
Maybe.
basically here, as the facts stand, and, officially, Bobby, genuinely did absolutely nothing wrong here.
Yep, it's hard to know, like, did he go to the house but was being reasonable about it? That we don't know any of that. But generally speaking, it's like, yeah, no, he did nothing wrong. Sorry, I lied to get the restraining order. That's the story, really.
Per the law, he did nothing wrong.
Yep.
So, some more evidence things here. 3 weeks later, the matter was removed from the court calendar at the request of both parties. The accuser later told people that the declaration she filed for the restraining order included many allegations that were exaggerated or untrue. The Mail, while pursuing a potential article about the order, was aware she had taken back at least some of these allegations, people said.
Yeah, so that's just a kind of little bit of flavor of, it's not just, after the publication that you said that. It's like throughout the article, there were these things that have been like, okay, so people are saying that this may not be the entire story, but I think the way everything was framed was there's a nugget of truth in it somewhere, but now that nugget appears to have just not existed at all at any point in time.
And very much there's the court of public opinion. If you just say a whole bunch of stuff and it's exaggerated, maybe little bits are untrue, there's a few other stories swirling around right now where some of that's being talked about, then opinion can just kind of go like wildfire. So if this isn't true and Bobby did nothing wrong, then why are we sitting here today?
It's fairly obvious, because what if it was? Because that's a thing where I had started writing the story down and taking notes of it and thinking about, what we're going to talk about. And I was like, okay, well, this is really bad. This is, this is the COO of Facebook helping cover Bobby's literal crimes up. This is brutal. This needs to be talked about. It's like, oh, well, it's not true. Well, does that make everything okay? It makes Bobby's done nothing wrong completely true, but it was still all of that power, all that influence was still wielded to try to cover this up. And in this case, it was the right thing to do, but are the means incorrect? And what does that mean for everything else that Bobby or anyone else powerful in the games industry might be doing?
Yeah, so it's that, and then also I think a little bit of we have a platform, so if there's some misinformation to be corrected, it's a good thing. And I know that people are often going to just want Bobby to be the monster, to have done all of the terrible things, but the truth's actually quite important. So,
yeah, I mean, if you're going to try to nail someone to a cross, at least do it for reasons that they actually did wrong, as opposed to making stuff up.
Yeah. So basically this group of Sandberg, Kotick, lawyers, PR advisors, employees from both Activision and Facebook kind of got together. They discussed then what info they believed the Mail actually had and whether they could persuade the Mail's leadership that Bobby had been wrongfully accused. So it's the sort of situation where if the Mail was to do that to somebody who didn't have all that power influence, they wouldn't really be able to, have much of a recourse unless the Mail went to publish and then they were able to pursue the legal route. Whereas this is more using the back channels and the soft power is maybe how you could.
Soft power is definitely the biggest portion of this year.
Yeah. So apparently Sandberg was swinging around some of her weight as a Facebook exec. Basically, Mr. Kotick has told people that Miss Sandberg threatened the Mail in 2016 by saying that this could actually damage their business relationship with Facebook. And this is the really interesting thing. The Wall Street Journal then points out that around 2010, Facebook was actually 10% of Mail Online UK's digital traffic. Now, as of 2019, that's 3.86%.
Which is still all right,
Yeah.
Still fine.
I feel like a lot of people in the UK are like, you know what, the less. Maybe the, the Daily Heil.
Yep.
So that's all quite interesting because, obviously Facebook then has so much influence over the Mail. It's an advertising-driven business, and 10% of their traffic is a hell of a lot of traffic.
And it's not even just that 10% of the traffic, because that comes across that's kind of a natural thing of the Mail is using Facebook, but it's more that they actually did have a special relationship because the mail were so much traffic for Facebook and they were working so well together that in 2016 specifically, which is around the time this all unfolded, the mail were given mail online were given advanced access to, I think it was a video ads feature, and it required also being signed on to 2 of Facebook's other things. So they were like very, very closely in bed as far as like UK news traffic all went. So then Sandberg sending me email going, could you maybe not publish this story? Because I don't think you've got all the facts right. Would certainly, that would carry a ton of weight.
Yeah. But then also, if you're in those people's situation and you're about to have a potentially damaging thing that is based on things that aren't true, like, what are you going to do?
Exactly.
Are you really going to not use the things at your disposal?
Exactly, yeah.
Like, if you were in that situation, what would you do? Because at the end of the day, while they may have different incentives to us, these actually are also people.
Yeah, it's hard to keep that in mind, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so Kotick told the Wall Street Journal, I never said anything like that. Said that, they were inaccurate, didn't give any details. Also said that he understands that the Mail didn't run the story because it was untrue. That's a pretty good reason not to run a story. Now, the Wall Street Journal actually ran into Kotick conferring with a Facebook employee before. Here's the quote. 2016, Mr. Kotick forwarded an inquiry from a journal reporter to a Facebook employee who worked for Miss Sandberg, amongst others. He inadvertently copied the journal reporter on the email.
Good job, Bobby.
Whoops.
Yeah, I think that goes to show like just how much the kind of soft and influential power that these people can wield if they have the right people in touch. Obviously, he's definitely close to Sandberg, but basically, Bobby Kotick had Facebook people at his disposal. Or like that's an interesting thing to think about in light of recent things. But yeah, it's kind of brutal.
Yeah.
Kind of brutal.
So it's the sort of situation where there's not a story in what Bobby did relating to this. It's good that now everybody knows what the correct thing is. I know like a lot of the quotes were kind of spreading around like wildfire, and it's a very highly emotive topic, and Bobby, there's a predisposition to not like him given everything. So the record's updated, but then we do just have this like lingering question of, oh yeah, that's a lot of power. Yeah, and then you think about, even was it Kotaku? Was it one of the responses I think of Bobby in regards to some press stuff was like, well, can we buy the?
Oh yeah. Recently,
that's why it comes into my mind, because we see this in a bit more of a reasonable situation with Facebook, but then as a response to some of the things related to his job performance and conduct there, and some of the responses that have kind of been leaked about that.
Yeah,
that's why I think this is transcended from people with power just trying to get the best outcome for themselves to being like potentially a bit more seedy, potentially the sort of thing where we should just be a bit more cautious.
Yeah, because obviously, he's fine here, but he did just want to buy PC Gamer or Kotaku. Those are the two he was apparently claimed to asked for. Can we just buy those and change the narrative? Sweet. Did it before with, my girlfriend did it with the Mail back then, so why can't I do it here?
Yeah.
That's the point.
Can we put a gun to Stephen Mesner's head and make him publish a Happy Shadowlands article? I
think Mesner would take the bullet, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I don't think he's in the press. He now works in the industry, in Vidya. Anyway, so there's a bit of an update. A wacky little trail. A fun one for you to research, to be sure.
Absolutely, yep.
And there you go. The things that go on in the highfalutin lives of the rich and powerful.
Yeah, Bobby did nothing wrong. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk.
Yes, asterisk, let's not think about all the other things that he definitely did wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, dear. Well, there you go. That's the story. Bobby's comes out of this one just grand.
Yep.
And soon enough, it will be the end of Bobby Watch.
Yeah, and then we can finally finish the video of the life and times of Bobby Kotick, because he just keeps going. It just isn't just over yet. Like,
he's so fucking interesting.
He really is.
It's, it was so sad because the start of the life and times of Bobby Kotick is such an interesting video.
Wonderful.
Just because of Bobby. He's so interesting the way he goes about things. So it's it's unfortunate. It would have been easier if it was just a more clean cut case of this, like this man would. I can't actually think of a good analogy, but he'll sell anything to anyone.
Exactly.
Right? And it was just like interesting that applied to games. It's a shame that, of course, it all takes a darker turn, which certainly means that like the episode 1 of that series is going to have a massive asterisk at the start.
Damn straight, yep.
Oh man. Okay, that's it. I mean, hey, let us know want the life and times of Bobby Kotick to get off the ground. We've been sitting on hard work in that for a long ass time. Anyway, right. Have a great day, everybody, and farewell.